Yo, what's up? Bram Whitestein, Dan Torsman. Welcome into the latest edition of the Winner's Circle presented by Naira and Naira Bets, the official online betting partner of the Belmont Stakes and Saratoga Racecourse. What's up, Dan? How are you?
I'm good. Good. Nice, refreshing weekend. Beautiful weather up here in New York, and fun weekend of racing. Kind of one of those like we're officially making the move now into racing second season, Breeders' Cup season. Some good Challenge Series races, and I'm trying to scale back some of the gambling a little bit because I know like Triple Crown like really just took it out of me.
Yeah. All right.
So just it's a good opportunity to like step back, reassess where you are, and then come up with a plan moving forward.
All right. Well, I mean, if you want to get the gambling going again over the weekend, the public was very much right about what happened in Churchill for the major races that occurred there. And I want to start with the Fleur de Lis. We'll get to the Stephen F. Foster in a moment because Maxfield's going to be in the Classic and looks like might be a contender. We'll talk about that in a moment. But let's start with the Fleur de Lis and Letruska. It's a 5-year-old mare, and I don't know, it might be best horse in the country. So check out the end of the Fleur de Lis.
Antoinette's trying hard from second. En Foutan's trying to put in a late run from third. Volta's down inside fourth. Point of Honor's in fifth. There's one furlong to go. Letruska switch leads right at the eighth pole. She's clear by 6. Antoinette, En Foutant, Point of Honor, all chasing Letruska. Letruska looking good. Cruises under the wire. Effortless in the end. 5 lengths to the good of Antoinette, En Foutant, Point of Honor, and Spice is nice.
Okay, so off to the Breeders' Cup she goes, but where is really the big question at this point. She's blowing out field. So what do you see for Letruska now?
Yeah, I mean, some chatter after that race that maybe they would try to end up in the Classic. I mean, the goal obviously is still the distaff at this point. She's now obviously qualified with that win, but she was already, I believe she won the Ogden Phipps anyway, so she was in anyway. She's well on her way to winning, female honors this year. And as you referenced, maybe horse of the year if she can continue on this trajectory. Her only loss in her last 6 came by a head to She Dares the Devil. She's been nearly perfect, super impressive, visually impressive. She beat Monomoy Girl earlier this year. My only issue with her is that she has not really been tested from a pace perspective. So in this race on Saturday, there was nobody fast enough to go with her. So it's not like, oh, well, somebody should have pressed her. Nobody was fast enough in the field to go with her. She's come out of a few races where there were horses fast enough to go with her. They just didn't. So I'd like to see what happens when she gets pressure early. Does she then still have it in her to hang around late? So I think that remains to be seen. But, when she gets the lead, no one's catching her.
It's such an interesting decision for connections to make it because they're going to pressure them to put her in the Classic, They want to see her against the boys. They'll start getting all that pressure. And I remember last year with Swiss Skydiver that it was really calculated when they made the decision to do the Preakness. And they were like waiting and wanted to see charts. And it happened that the race got flipped upside down because of the pandemic and the timing of it seemed to work out correctly. So I want to see what happens here with her because I think timing matters here. And there's no reason to make this decision right now, even though all the pressure is going to be put her up against the boys, put her in the Classic, give her a shot. Clearly she can win. And I don't think that the time is not to even make a decision like that personally.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think you got to see how strong, how some of these horses develop, some of the 3-year-olds, how they develop, and then also some of these older horses, how they continue to develop. Now we're going to talk about the Stephen Foster momentarily. Maxfield starting to separate himself a little bit. But aside from that, I mean, unless I'm missing something off the top of my head, I mean, Nick's Go obviously hasn't looked well. I mean, again, he's only had that one race back from Saudi Arabia, so we'll see what the rest of his year looks like. And I don't know. I mean, who else is there? I mean,
I don't know. Well, I don't want to get sidetracked on this, but like this has happened every time one of these major contenders goes over to the Middle East and races. When they come back, they're like incapable of getting their form back. So I don't know what in the world happens when they go over there. I would just, moving forward, I would say this. I get why you go there because the purses are absolutely ridiculous. Consider it your last big race of your career. So you better get all the money while you're there because every time they come back, they're not the same. Every time.
Yeah, no, no. I mean, so I'm actually looking up here. I thought I'd seen something on Twitter. Yeah, July 2nd at Prairie Meadows, the Cornhusker Handicap. That will be Knicks go second race back after
Prairie
the
Meadows. What is he going to be, 1-30? Like what field is that going to be against him?
Let me see if I can pull this up. Yeah. Okay. So here we go. A tenfold. That's a recognizable name. Rated
Okay.
R superstar. Modernist. The other ones, I don't know. Dinar. Drifting West. Last Judgment is your 4-1 second choice in the race. Jose Ortiz, Mike Maker. So I don't know if there's.
Take it all back, Prairie Meadows. My bad. I take it all back. It sounded like Knicks Go was going to go there, and it was going to be him versus 8 quarter horses, and he was going to win by 38 lengths.
Yeah, I mean, look, he still might, and I think he still should. I mean, if it's Knicks Go from last year, he should win by 30 lanes. But I don't know. I mean, I don't have confidence that it is Knicks Go from last year. So I think that classic division, I think the way it shapes up ultimately will dictate what they do with Letruska. And like I said, I'd like to see a race here where even if just for the fun of it, they let her, another horse kind of make eye contact with her early in a race.
Yeah.
Just to see, what she's got down deep.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Speaking of eye contact. All right. I want to talk about this horse Set Piece, and I want to show you the Wise Dan from over the weekend, because that horse came in as the betting favorite. And as you'll see in the stretch, there was good reason why he was the betting favorite. And yet everything that led up to this moment said to me, I don't know why they haven't taken this shot before this moment. So check out the stretch called the Wise Dan.
Outside of Mutakatif. Also, there is Spooky Channel. Kentucky Ghost comes wide off the turn. Super Soul is there. Set Pieces weaving through the pack, picking off horses in behind. There's 5 lengths to make up there. Racing for the 8th pole. Some Like It Hot Brown still in front by 2. Set Piece dives down toward the hedge. Here comes Set Piece riding up the inside. Some Like It Hot Brown has to fend off Set Piece. Set Piece from last to first, weaving to victory. Over Some Like It Hot Brown second. Ride a Comet was third, and it's tight for fourth.
Okay, honestly, you really need to see it again. I should have set this up better, because the ride in the stretch was unbelievable to get to the rail. It was completely boxed in and changed courses like mid-stretch and got to the inside and somehow got there anyway against a front runner like Some Like It Hot Brown. There was no surprise that horse was at the front, but watch closely the one horse, middle of the pack, as he kind of comes through, gets bottled up, and then shoots over to the rail and gets there. Really was fabulous ride of the weekend, and I guess it shouldn't be that much of a surprise. Went off like 9-5, whatever it was. But if you go back and look at all of the previous races this horse had, they were low-level allowance races. It was he'd win them easily. He was heavy favorites in all of them. And I was sitting there with you and Matt Bertier and Red Carruthers the other day and Allie Vance. We were doing the show, and I'm sitting there going, I appreciate that everyone thinks this one is good. He wins all his races, but I can't figure out why they haven't taken this shot yet. And that's why I'm not supporting him here. And of course, the public ended up being right.
Yeah. So the horse comes over from the UK in late 2019. Right off the bat, runs a really nice allowance race, wins that race, but then kind of took a few steps back from there. And so I wonder if, the horses didn't come along as quickly as they'd hoped, and then they didn't want to, kind of push him too fast. When they put him back into a grade 3 race earlier in the year, he finished 4th. So it seems like they've kind of had some setbacks just in terms of expectation, if nothing else, with him being able to take the next step. And then now he's finally taking that next step. I think the other thing you don't see in that video, which is impressive, is that you had the race set up. Whenever you see a trainer with 2 or more horses in any stakes race or in any race, really, usually in turf races and graded stakes races, is Chad Brown that we're like, oh, well, look, he's got 42 horses in this race. In this instance, it was Michael Maker who had 2 horses in particular that, took a lot of the action. Some Like It Hot Brown, who you saw in the lead. He also had a horse named Field Pass on the outside.
Yeah.
And what that allowed him to do was it allowed Some Like It Hot Brown to get to the lead. Field Pass had enough tactical speed to get close enough to the pace and really just provide a little bit of a buffer for Some Like It Hot Brown. So really, it was as they had drawn it up, you would have to imagine in the Maker barn, right? Some Like It Hot Brown gets to the front, Field Pass sitting right off. It all went to plan, except for that last, 100 yards there when Set Piece, closes from, the clouds weaving through traffic like that. So I thought to overcome those pace dynamics as well made the performance by Set Piece all the more impressive.
This was like one of those, and I think this is why handicapping this sport, it's the hardest thing in the world to do, because This is like another one of those lesson learned. Sometimes the board tells you what you need to know. And I could not come around to that's a favorite because this horse had not run in a stakes race. And there was a reason why. And the connections had not decided to do it, even though every piece of evidence said they should have taken this shot before they got to this point. And therefore, I landed on the other one, Field Pass, who had been tested, had done this before. And I felt just more comfortable with that. Everything said this is rising star, up and comer. It's finally time they're going to have the opportunity to do it. And my reluctance was, why hadn't they done it before? And I don't know. I guess you're consistently learning in this sport, really.
It's true. It is. You hear it more with betting on horse racing than betting on anything else. It's a humbling game. Yeah. You're always trying to figure out what is that angle that I might have missed. And then sometimes when you're entering the process of handicapping, you're analyzing way too much. It's sort of paralysis by overanalysis by just looking at too much data, too many potential angles, and then you get yourself into trouble that way too.
Yeah, I mean, even in this case of this board, there were two mistakes that, like, sometimes the board tells you what you need to know. That one was the favorite, even though I didn't feel like it should have been. But that said, it was. And then the one I ended up on, Field Pass, started off morning line 5 or 6 to 1 and ended up like 9 or 10 to 1. And so the support is dropping off. And even though I can't get off of it, I'm sitting there going, this is the one I like. I won't get off of it. Board's telling me that most people don't think that that's the case. I probably should have seen it differently. All right. One more from Churchill over the weekend. Everybody had this one. Maxfield, huge favorite, and looked like it in the Stephen Foster.
Bend and the trailer Chess Chiefs around the far turn. Sprawl has taken the lead with 3 furlongs to go. Empty Tomb gives way toward the rail. Maxfield with a blitz on the far turn. 6th, 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, and now 1st at the quarter pole. Maxfield takes charge at the top of the stretch. Sprawls back into 2nd. Warriors charges under pressure back in 3rd with Empty Tomb. South Bend coming with a run switched outside for the final furlong. And at the 8th pole, it is Maxfield doing it easily by 3. Sprawls trying hard back in 2nd. Warriors charge winning a good race up into 3rd. The rest are struggling, and Maxfield fought off all challengers easily to win the Foster. Glides under the wire, winning it by 3.
I mean, Ortiz is like sitting up, just kind of walking home with it, which is just amazing. And I love the call. The call is unbelievable there. 6th, 5th, 4th, 3rd. And it was that was a sweeping move that you don't see very often. And I know you like to bring this up, how visually sometimes how appealing some of these things look. If you don't like that horse moving forward in whatever race they're in, I don't know what you like about the sport, because that move, say what you want about the field. And I think it's fair to say it was pretty weak, that this horse was in. Still, that was beyond impressive. It was dominant and looks like a horse that, if there is an even higher ceiling than that, might win the Breeders' Cup Classic.
You know me, I love to be a contrarian. I love to look for long shots. I like to say something that or see things sometimes that maybe are a little bit of a stretch, just because I'm looking for a way to get an edge sometimes. There's nothing to say other than Maxfield has looked freakish in his last few races. That was dominant, as you alluded to. He was geared down. Could have won the race by 20 lengths if he wanted to. And also, as you alluded to, the sustained move to make that kind of move wide and continue widening is just so impressive. I did point out while we were watching it the other day, Warriors Charge ran a really nice race, I thought, considering he didn't break well. He's a horse who likes to be forwardly placed. Did it from off the pace. So maybe, again, that speaks to the quality of the overall field, but still, for him to overcome that early trouble was impressive. And the horse on the rail, Sprawl, I think that's a horse that, once he gets a touch of class relief, technically should have been a grade 1. It was a grade 2. I think you see him in grade 3s. You see him in other, in some other stakes races. I think Sprawl is going to win a lot of races, just going to the front and staying there.
Yeah, I think with Warriors Charge, I agree with you. It might have been partially the field, but you have to see the beginning of the race and the break to see what happened here. But he got pinched back early with another horse by the name of Silver Dust, and that should have really nullified any opportunity. And he was coming by the end. And granted, he was never really close to winning this race because there's a monster in it. But I think that's just one of those, bank it next time he races. This is a horse that takes a lot of shot in a lot of races. Obviously, he's in pretty good form. So if he gets into a field where he doesn't have a Maxfield in it, keep that in mind moving forward with him. The other one, though, with Maxfield, And the Joshua just put that up as killer move, but the running style is going to lead to wide trips. I agree. Like watching this, it reminded me of like playing a video game, like a car racing video game where I refuse to hit the brakes on the turn and you end up crashing when you go off the side and therefore you fall behind the leaders again. Like that's what I feel like I'm watching. Like that horse was drifting. He's just so much better than anybody else. It didn't end up harming him in the end, but I could see in a deeper field, like the Classic, that move ain't going to work. So I agree. I agree that maybe in this case, it's fine. And they surmise the field couldn't handle a move like that. But a mistake like that, as visually impressive and as amazing as he did it on the turn like that, it's a death sentence in a bigger race with a bigger field. He won't recover it if he glides out to the outside like that again.
Yeah, I mean, what you're describing is a horse just being ridden with so much confidence that they're like, look, we don't care how wide he goes, and he'll take me there to the front anyway. But to the point that Joshua made, when you think about the Classic itself, I mean, generally you don't see too many horses, aside from maybe Zenyatta, closing from that far out of it or making wide sweeping moves. I mean, especially in recent years, more and more, really in all American Classics these days, the horse who gets to the front usually wins. And if there's any horse that doesn't hang on in the front, it's a horse only a couple lengths off. That's just what American racing has become. Like it is, you need speed. You need to be within a length or two of the lead coming off the turn. Otherwise, you're probably not going to win unless you're like just a super freak. That's just the way. No matter how fast they go up front, watch racing over the past 4 or 5 years. It's that those horses stick around. I mean, even in that race, look, Sproul. I mean, Sproul held off 6 other horses just because he came off the turn on the lead
and killed my trifecta. So whatever. That's a not that it would have made anything with a 1-5 horse winning, but still in the end. All right. Dan sent me a clip which will show you in a little bit, which was the first instance of hot horse summer that we had this year. So I'll show you that. We'll get to that in a moment. But first, bet your favorite tracks online with Naira Bets, available nationwide in 30 states. Naira Bets offers best-in-class HD live video and replays, online contests to compete with other Naira Bets players, exclusive promotions that give back more, and expert picks and analysis. With an easy-to-use, free-to-download app, betting horse racing online has never been easier and safer. Sign up for Naira Bets now to earn a $200 sign-up bonus with promo code ABR200. And welcome back to the Winner's Circle. I'm Bram Whitestein with Dan Torgman. All right. I want to yell hallelujah here because something happened that has made me very, very excited about betting the sport moving forward. And I've never really considered moving to the state of New Jersey. No offense, because I know you're moving to the state of New Jersey. But in this one particular case, they did something that I really, really, really like. They have approved fixed racing odds. That is coming to the New Jersey tracks. And I got to tell you, as someone who loves this sport, one of the most infuriating things about it is 10 minutes on the clock. And I found a 7-1 horse that I love. And then by the time they go up at post time and he's 4-1, 7-2, something like that, it's infuriating. The fixed odds thing, I am in. So thank you, New Jersey, for doing that.
Yeah, so as soon as the Haskell, as early as the Haskell, we may get fixed odds, and we'll see how it plays out in terms of availability throughout the state, and which tracks. I saw a list of about 5 or 6 tracks that are potentially would be accessible in terms of fixed odds tracks, in addition to Monmouth Park. And when you think about horse racing challenge and bringing in new bettors from the sports betting world, that's always the first question, I think, and the first sort of moment of disappointment in people coming from that space, learning horse racing and learning how to bet on racing is, oh, cool, I just bet on this horse, I'm going to get, like you said, 7-1 on this horse. Nope, you're not going to get 7-1 on this horse. You may get 3-1 on this horse. Maybe you get lucky. Maybe you get 8-1 or 9-1 on this horse. But I think for the first 5 years I was with America's Best Racing, I spent the majority of my time at taking people to the racetrack who'd never been there before, and that question came up all the time. Okay, I'm about to bet $10 to win on this horse. How much am I going to win? And when you have to explain,
I don't
can't
know.
sure,
I don't know.
I don't
We'll
know.
see. Yeah.
We'll see. And then the follow-up question is, wait, so if I bet on this horse right now at these odds, I'm not going to get to keep these odds? No, you don't. That really does, you do lose people there. You lose people at that
Yes.
precise moment. And I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen over and over and over again. So it is a cool, it is a cool development and a positive development. And we'll see. People in racing generally are sort of, very, very, they're scared of change. They hate, especially, horse players, horse bettors. I think your core, sort of long-standing, horse bettors and horse players are going to be reluctant maybe to initially dive into, what is this fixed odds pool? Is it a different pool? Is it a gimmick? Is this, is that? It's like, no, like if you're, and to my understanding at the moment, it's just, it's to lock in win odds, right? If you want to lock in odds on a horse that you like, bet into this pool. And I think that's what it's going to require. I think there's going to have to be sort of concerted, even though it's logically better for bettors, it's still going to take a concerted sort of marketing effort and marketing push from Monmouth in particular right here to get people to actually bet into that pool.
I think it matters, though. I mean, like sports bettors, when they bet the Chiefs -3.5, even if the line ends up moving up to 4 or 5 at some point, you get 3.5. That's the way it works, right? Like that's the way. Once you've made the bet, it sticks at whatever it is, and however the line moves from there is however the line moves from there. And I have been waiting for this day to happen. And this goes back to something I was talking about earlier. Sometimes the board does tell you some things you need to know, but you're looking for value. So for someone like me who is going to look at this and go, okay, I've got these fixed odds. I can wait to see how the board moves as we get closer to post time and then try to assess some inherent value from what people thought initially when the odds were placed to what the public betting is saying right now. And I think it's going to give someone like me, the opportunity to make an informed decision about where people are leaning, where value may be. And so I'm all in on this. Like, I just think from every perspective and from the beginner who doesn't know the sport that well, doesn't understand that, and frankly, shouldn't have to try to understand that. Why you bet something at 3-1 and now he's 2-1. Like that makes no sense. So I appreciate that. And it's impossible to sit there and go, well, it's pari-mutuel, and this is how this works. And people are betting, and the numbers, and it's just like, well, I don't want to get into a dissertation about it. I just want to go have a mint julep, put on a hat, watch them run around, and know what I'm going to win. Like I don't need to explain, like it's some calculus class. Like I don't want to explain it to anybody.
Yeah. Look, I think for a small percentage of people out there, a small percentage of bettors out there that are doing this day in, day out, either for a living or as something they can do to sustain themselves on, based on other income they make, or whatever it might be. This maybe doesn't apply to them, but for what I'm about to say, at least. But for the other 95% of people who either go to the track and hang out with their friends and are texting on the weekend, hey, who are you betting today? That sort of thing. People like us who are just kind of, who are in it just for largely for entertainment. If we can make a profit, great.
Right.
But for the vast majority of people, that a big component of it is ego, right? It's bragging. It's like, look at this, look what I did. Like now, the small percentage of people who are doing this like for a living aren't going to be out there bragging about their hits, right? They're going to quietly, you would assume, kind of like be like, whatever, this is what I'm doing to make money. But for everyone else, if you could say, hey, I got this horse at 5-1, one off at 2-1. You now have like a whole new layer of like a bragging rights, like I got in at a better price than everybody else.
100%. All right. Before we take a quick break, I think I've missed the boat on this one, but I needed to hit you a week ago on this because I know you like you're a bandwagon NBA person. Like there you are wearing a Heat hat.
Yes,
I know you love Trae Young. I know you love Trae Young now in the Hawks. I do too. The guy, no one has range like this dude. He hit a 3 last night from a logo. I mean, he's absolutely ridiculous and he's a joy to watch. But the second Eastern Conference Finals was set up, I'm like, I think the Bucks are going to win in 5, maybe 6, and I think I had a sucker in you. So I don't know if you're still there off of what happened last night, and then a mild sprained ankle. So I'm assuming you're off the Hawks. But I was hoping I could reel you in with some fixed odds gentleman's agreement because I love Milwaukee in the Eastern Conference. I loved them going into it, and I appreciated there was the bandwagoners who liked Atlanta, but I'm all in on Milwaukee.
So just a little insight into how the behind the scenes of the show works. Bram will email me and JD, who produces the show here behind the scenes, on Sunday night, and typically say, okay, here are the topics we're going to talk about. And when I saw you list this topic, say, I dare you to bet against me in saying that the Bucks are going to win the title, the NBA Finals. At that moment, because it was before the game started last night, I was like, oh yeah, like I will take that bet. But
Take
then
Atlanta. I knew you would.
Watching how that game unfolded with Atlanta getting out to the big lead, Trey tweaking the ankle, no one being able to hit a shot late, it had that sort of feel of like series over. Like it wasn't like, this is the game they blew, they'll bounce back in game 4. No, they're losing out from here. It's going to be Bucks in 5 now. So
I know I knew I missed the boat. I'm like, if we had this show yesterday, I think I would have had you on the hook in a 1-1 series, and I'd be sitting pretty today. I loved Milwaukee going into this series. I like them against Phoenix too, albeit that I think Phoenix plays a better, more less. What's the best way to put this? They play smarter basketball than Milwaukee does, but I really don't like the matchup with them against Milwaukee. So I like them in the end. I think they're going to get there. All right. Video of the day is coming up next, but first watch this.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit nairabets.com.
Welcome back to the Winner Circle with Dan Torchman. I'm Bram Weinstein. We're presented by Naira and Naira Bets. All right, Dan sent this video last night. Where's it from, Dan? You set this up. Where's this from?
It's from Japan, from Hanshin Racecourse. You saying a hot horse summer, really? that set me off. That was good. That was well played. Yeah, so they're in like, they're getting ready to like start a race there, and the horses are circling, behind the gate. And we'll take a look at the video. This one horse, who's already loose, got rid of his jockey. He comes around and starts approaching another horse who has a jockey on top of him. And they're like, what's going on here? What's going on here? The jockey jumps off the horse, and the other horse mounts the other horse, trying to do what? And the other one just kicks him away from him. Like, get me away from here. Before you ask, 2 male horses. I don't know how old they were. I would assume that they're younger because they're they tend to be pretty frisky like that when they're younger. And you think an older horse would know better, or an older horse might even be gelded, and that wouldn't even cross his mind.
Well, it's been a pandemic for them too, Dan. Okay. They've had to deal with it too. Everybody's ready to get out. Everybody's ready. It's Sunday fun day, Dan. Everybody needs to get out.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, it was, I had never, like, again, I've seen, I think, just about everything in horse racing. You've seen horses get loose and kind of do weird things, right? Like, they usually run off. They're like, I'm going back to the barn. And sometimes they run back to the barn, right? Or they do something kind of wild like that. Or like, they jump a fence and end up in a, in a shallow pond or something.
I don't blame them, Dan. I mean, like, honestly, I've been in my basement for a year and a half, and there's no telling how I'm going to act when I go to the beach too. I mean, there's really, like, while I don't think I'm going to jump on top of somebody, I just don't know at this point. You just don't know. It's hot vac summer. So I don't know. And that horse, I think the part that really got me was, do they typically try to mount another horse with a man on top of the horse at the same time? Right. And I think that was maybe the biggest surprise of all of that.
Yeah. He's like, I don't care who's here. By the way, I hope your wife is not around for that last comment that you made. Like, I might jump on top. I mean, does she watch the show?
We'll find out in about, I don't know, 10 minutes if I get a text message. We'll find out.
Oh man, no, that was wacky. I was like, the second I saw that, I was like, yep, this is Winner Circle
That's
material.
A new one. Yeah, that's a new one. I'd like to get my hands on one of those Japanese saddle cloths. That's a pretty good one. I need that for the old background here. That's a pretty good one.
Yeah. JD with the intel here, he said the horse being mounted finished 4th. The horse doing the mounting finished 6th. So
Oh, so well, the horse that was mounting has his mind in other places. I wouldn't expect him to win the race at that point.
Well, at least
Let's
the
get
horse
this over with.
like, listen, I
Let's
need to
get this
keep
over
at
with
least,
so we get the pamplemousse already. Let's go.
well, the one who finished fourth, like I got to keep at least a horse distance, like apart, like from me and this other
Yeah.
one. Keep me away from that guy.
Masks off. They're good to go. They're ready to go over there. They are ready. All right. On that note, that'll do it for us this week. As always, we're presented by America's Day at the Races, the official live broadcast partner of Aqueduct Racetrack, Belmont Park, Saratoga Racecourse, and tracks nationwide. For Dan, I'm Bram. We'll see you next week on the Winner's Circle.